Markets are dropping. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having an amazing Sunday. Today's January 26th, 6:22 in the morning, and welcome to our Sunday Stock Talk. So, wanted to go live very quickly, prep for the overall trading week, and kind of talk about what my focus is, and also maybe answer some of your guys' questions during these lives, during this live. If you ever want to tune into any of these live streams, I host them every single Sunday. They're called our Sunday Stock Talk, right around 6:30 p.m. Arizona time. And again, all you literally have to do is subscribe to the channel and drop a thumbs up. So make sure you turn on your post notifications so YouTube notifies you when it is that I go live. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. I don't want to waste any time. Again, I do trade live every single morning. If you ever want to tune on in to watch me, I'll be live tomorrow right at market open. Second link in the description down below. You could sign up and watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow. With that being said, let's go ahead and break this down. I have access to overnight hours. If you don't have Webull, you can get it. It is a US, it is FDIC insured within the US. So it's the platform that I use every single time. If you've ever watched any of my videos, it's the one that I personally trade on every single time. And it's the fifth link in the description down below. But as you can see, like in video right now, huge gap down. I think on Friday, it was trading at highs of 140, 142, which was extremely overbought, right? Became very overbought. And because markets are down so much, if we look at this, it's currently down 4.28% during extended hours, hit lows of 134, and is currently trading at 136. Bitcoin is actively selling off, which of course I love. I think Bitcoin's overhyped up, overvalued, and due for a huge pullback. It's been holding above 100,000 since Trump's inauguration, so we have not broken that support. There is still no break of support, so let's not get too excited and celebrate too early. But if we do break below 100,000, then the next step is going to be 90,000, as that's a very common support range. So again, because of what's going on with Bitcoin, that's what I'm going to be really paying very close attention to. We did break below the moving average on the 1 hour time frame, which on the technical side is something, but fundamentally, again, still above $100,000 per coin. So we have to be very careful with that. MSTR, which of course I love to see. MSTR is trading at lows of 340 to be exact, to hit lows of 337. We talk about this all the time. I think MSTR is one of the most hyped up, overvalued piece of shit companies that there is and ever will be, especially knowing 2024. I think that when it does collapse and seeing the effects that it will have in the rest of the market when it comes down to the crypto market, it will be crippling. I think that it could be the trigger of what causes Bitcoin to crash because of the position Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy will put the rest of the crypto market. Just like we saw with FTX, when one big domino falls, a bunch of other big dominoes begin to fall. It has a very common resistance range right around 400, a very common support range of 300. So again, it's very important to understand the highs and the lows. A lot of you guys know that I've been shorting MSTR from the highs of 500 all the way to the lows of 300. But I don't carry my short over the weekend, or overnight. So this drop of it being down 3.68%, I'm missing all of it. So when you short, you make money as it sells off. So I get excited when I see it, but again, my main focus is managing and mitigating my risk. So I choose to not carry my shorts overnight, so therefore I don't expose myself to an uncontrollable amount of risk, because we all know that the crypto market is very hyped up and very inflated. Anything can be shared, anything can cause Bitcoin to skyrocket, and if Bitcoin skyrockets, it would have a positive catalyst on MicroStrategy. So because of that, I choose to not carry a short overnight. So therefore, I missed out, and I will miss out on any moves that happen overnight. But I'm okay with that, right? Because my job is to manage risk. My job is not to avoid it. And I'm just excited. So the first stock that I'm going to be talking about has to be MicroStrategy. And I'm going to make it very simple. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but let's make it very simple. If Bitcoin trades below 100,000, I will open up a $200,000 short on MicroStrategy, because I think at that point, MicroStrategy, as Bitcoin falls down and breaks below 100,000, Bitcoin will start to crash to 90,000 or pull back. Sorry that I used the word crash. It will begin to retrace down to 90,000. And when Bitcoin retraces to 90,000, I think this time MicroStrategy could make new lows. I think MicroStrategy can go sub 300, but nonetheless, 300 is my target, being able to short it from 340, 350, wherever it is that the market opens at, all the way down to 300 per share. I'd be super excited for that. But again, there's two sides to every opportunity. Let's say that Bitcoin doesn't break below 100,000. Then we have to acknowledge that, hey, this is a strong support. If Bitcoin begins to return back to highs of 108, 109, then maybe I can consider going long on MicroStrategy for a day trade as Bitcoin begins to recover. So it's all dependent on the price action. You guys know that I have my bias. You guys know that I prefer that Bitcoin drops and that MSTR drops. I prefer to short MicroStrategy, but my job is to make money. And the way that I make money is by focusing on direction. So if market holds and it's bullish and it begins to recover, I'll go long on MicroStrategy, just like how you guys have seen me trade it live, right? But if it breaks the support and continues to sell off and it begins to sell off, therefore causing MicroStrategy continue to sell off, then I will open up short for about $200,000, shorting MicroStrategy back down to $300 per share. Pretty straightforward, right? All I focus on is break of supports, or if it's holding support and beginning to recover, then I focus on reversals, right? I have a very simple way that I like to trade. I only trade when my criteria is met, and I do not like to carry these short positions overnight. I know MicroStrategy and just shorting in general is incredibly risky, and I think it's very important for beginners especially to understand that you must respect the risk that comes with this very volatile market. And if you don't and you get too hopeful, just like all of the MSTR bag holders, there's a reason that they always complain in my comment section, and it's because they've bag held since $400 to $500 per share. I mean, I would be pretty mad too if all Bitcoin or MSTR has been doing is selling off, right? I mean, it makes sense. So what I prefer to do is, hey, I'm not going to put myself in that same hopeful position as all of those Reddit bag holders, right? I'm going to lead by example, and I'm going to manage my risk. I'm going to make my money, and I'm going to bounce every single day. That's all I focus on. And if you've watched me trade live, right, as I do every single morning, then you've seen how much I've enjoyed this whole process. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So if you want me to break down your top stock, just feel free to share it in that live chat. You do have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel to be able to partake in that live chat. So if you want to ask me any questions, feel free to ask me, but you do have to be subscribed to the channel. I do see one that I do want to break down, and it's Joshua Anderson is asking for me to break down Sofi. So Sofi was brought to my attention that it might be a little bit more on the overbought side. I know that it has been bullish based off of recent setups. Yeah. And I think this is where we get things confused. We have looked back in history, and this thing has pumped before due to pandemic conditions. It came crashing down, and I do see it that it is overhyped up, maybe a little bit overvalued, but it's been pretty consistent in the way that it's been pushing, and it's been so bullish that I wouldn't want to short aggressively something like this. So there's a difference between something like Sofi and something like MicroStrategy. Sofi does have an underlying business, and it is growing, and it actually does produce revenue. MicroStrategy has no growing business. All it does, it buys Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin is growing, then great. They have unrealized gains, right? But if Bitcoin is not growing, then again, that's their downfall. MicroStrategy's business, as you know, their core, it's shit, right? So that's the difference, is that everyone knows MicroStrategy is shit, and that's why it's so volatile. It runs and it dips. It makes it easier to short on its downfalls. Sofi just doesn't have that kind of volatility. So I would be very careful, hoping that Sofi begins to retrace. It's not that it can't, you just have to be more careful with your timing. And these become very difficult to time when they're so incredibly bullish. MSTR is not so incredibly bullish anymore. It was, but then, you know, the truth came out to light, right? It's a shit company. Everyone knows it is. And those that are still holding are just hoping that the pump continues. So that would be my red flag with shorting something like Sofi, is I do see retracement potential. I just don't know if it's worth the risk of shorting this because of how bullish it is. So it's just making sure that you understand the conditions and the criteria that are being presented. So let's talk about Tesla, because I know Tesla is quite in the red, right? It's down 2.6% ever since Trump's inauguration. And remember, if you've watched me trade live, if you've seen any of my videos, people like to say that, oh, I just like to go against the hype of what everyone else is saying. But that's not the case. It's just like, we have to understand that Tesla originally began to skyrocket when Trump was forecasted to win. And we experienced all of this. Ever since then, and ever since the official inauguration, Tesla's been retracing. It's almost like the idea of buy the rumors, sell the news. And I feel like, again, a lot of hopeful traders and investors jumped into the bandwagon when they're like, these things have to succeed. What do you mean they have to? They already have. The rally has already happened, right? Like Tesla was not valued at nearly, $1 trillion. What is it at right now? $1.3 trillion. It wasn't at 1.5 trillion before he was with Trump, right? But then all of a sudden it is. Well, no, like his business needs to grow to that. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the market reacts when Tesla reports its quarterly earnings. And that's what we're coming up on. I think that the market is in for a shock when it comes down to what was expected and forecasted and factored in ahead of time versus what is actually happening with these companies. So I'm very excited to follow up. I do not think Tesla is a good buy long-term at $400 per share. I think that there's huge pullback potential. Now, would I short it? Well, no, because Elon is still with Trump and it's bound to make the stock itself very volatile. So I would still take it day by day, but a lot of beginners shouldn't really open themselves to that kind of volatility or form of risk. So I think Tesla's overhyped up. I think there's huge pullback potential, especially when the company reports earnings and possibly misses and or is not as great as what was already expected. I think that the market is in for a shock. I think that we will see retracements before we see continuous rallies because, again, markets, just because a guy came into office, nothing has changed. There's hope that things have changed. But again, that comes later after things start, actually happening. As of right now and everything it is that he's doing, nothing should be pumping up the market the way that it is or it has. But yet the market's still pumped. And this always happens with the stock market. You guys can say that it doesn't, but it always does. The market always gets ahead of itself. It always factors things in advance, and then the markets retrace when everyone thinks, oh, well, I thought things were supposed to get better now. Well, no, markets already forecasted that in. Now they're correcting themselves. So again, if all these people are telling you, well, now it's time to buy Tesla, really? When it's up 120% in 45 days, that's when you want me to buy Tesla? Get out of here, right? Whose side are you on? Are you trying to help me make money, or are you just trying to line your pocket so I pump up the stock even more? It's, again, zoom out. See how overbought and overvalued this is. If you zoom out and look at the week time frame, Tesla's notorious for this. It's infamous for this. It's one of the most volatile companies that's in the multi-billion or trillion-dollar market cap now. Huge retracement potential, and this has always been Tesla. This is not a surprise. And if you think that, oh no, well, this time it's different because he's with Trump, there's always some reason you guys think it's different. Market conditions will always be the same in this sense, right? A volatile stock will remain volatile. Yeah, NASDAQ selling off, bro. Of course. That's why we're seeing such large retracements with the rest of the market. So let's go ahead and break down two more stocks. If you want me to break down your stock, let's go ahead and break it down. Will other big tech companies be reporting the same day Tesla's up? Tesla, what? They hold Tesla up through. Every publicly traded company has a schedule on when it's supposed to report earnings. Look it up. So if there's a specific stock that you're trying to have an understanding, like Webull makes it a little bit easier. So this one's set to report earnings on the 29th. So it actually reports earnings this week. So we'll see. What companies? It looks like Meta is set to report earnings possibly this week as well. Yeah, on the 29th. I think that's Wednesday. Wait, 27th, 28th, 29th. Yeah, it's Wednesday. Then Apple is set to report earnings. That's on Thursday. So that all makes sense. Market is scared, and it should be because market got ahead of itself. So I'm very excited to follow up because, again, if you're truly excited about buying good deals, why wouldn't you want the market to pull back? Why wouldn't you want the market to retrace? I think it's long overdue, and I would love to see it. I would love to see Tesla back down to sub $300 per share. I would love to see Nvidia back down to 120 per share. It can easily get there. We all know that they're over hyped up and overvalued. The market is due for a nice little pullback. It's been too hyped up for too long for no reason. Let's talk about that. Well, what happens? Let me ask you guys this. There's a handful of you guys tuning on in. I want to make sure that it's informative. If markets begin to retrace, but you don't want to sell your long-term investments, but you want to kind of hedge your position, how can you make money? How can you make money in general, not in a super risky way, day by day? So when markets begin to pull back, let's say NASDAQ market begins to pull back or S&P 500 begins to pull back, so everything begins to drop, what can you put money in for the day? SQQQ or SPXS, right? The S&P 500 or NASDAQ inverse ETF, those are not investment vehicles. You don't want to just park money in there, right? But if markets are selling off consistently that day and direction is super clear, let's keep it simple. When NASDAQ market sells off, right? If NASDAQ market begins to retrace, what do you think will happen to SQQQ? It begins to gap up, and it does 3 times that. But the reason I say that it's not an investment vehicle, it's because it's triple leveraged. So therefore, when the market rallies 1%, SQQQ drops 3%. When the markets drop 1%, then SQQQ rallies 3%. That sounds like a great idea, but it's not when it turns against you. Leverage is great until it's not. I want to make my money and bounce and close that trade every single day. But I just want you to understand, when markets drop, SQQQ goes up. So I want you to understand that there is ways to make money without shorting by being able to buy an ETF that goes up when NASDAQ markets go down. Or you can sell puts. I don't, or sell covered calls. I don't trade options. I don't choose to. I don't think it's great for beginners. But nonetheless, again, there's a lot of different ways. I'm just sharing the way that makes sense to me. So again, I hope that, SPXS, that is correct. SPXS is the S&P 500 inverse ETF. This one goes up when S&P 500 market goes down. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that so cool that you're able to make money when markets drop? I think it's one of the coolest things out there. Okay, let's go ahead and do another one. What stock am I breaking down for you guys? HIMS. I want to break down HIMS because isn't that the one that's super hyped up? I can't stand this stock. Yeah, no progress, but it's so incredibly bullish. It's just not time yet. It's holding up so well here. There's no break of pattern. This thing is not actively dropping. I would love to short this overvalued stock, but again, you just have to respect the trend. It's not about what I personally want. When you get into that, that's when you become an MSTR bag holder. That's when you become a GameStop bag holder, right? You're doing something because you want to. No one cares what you want to do. No one cares what I want. It doesn't matter. It's not that personal. We're here to make money. And if, again, you want to put yourself in positions that actually make sense. So, yes, I would love for this thing to sell off and I can make a bunch of money shorting it, but it's not. I have to respect it. It's bullish. It does have these big sell-offs from time to time, but as of right now, because of how bullish it is, I just wouldn't want to put myself in an open position to try to time something that just looks so incredibly bullish. So because of that, I just wouldn't want to short that. So that's my 2 cents on that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. How is SOUN looking? Let's check it out. SOUN is tricky. It was trying to recover. Did you guys see that? But it almost is forming this lower high. So I want to see how it trades when the rest of the market sells off. Let me make this very clear. So I short SOUN from time to time within my live trading session with my LPP team. This is not for beginners. Like, this stock is incredibly volatile. And some people think that, when they watch me trade live, I'm just going to do what Ricky does. You got to learn how to walk before you run, right? And this is a sprint. And I love sharing that with you because I want you to understand that I don't want you to copy me. I don't need you to copy me. I don't want you to be doing the same thing as me. I want you to understand my thought process and the why behind it, but you don't need to be putting yourself in the same positions or trades that I'm taking because you just might not be quick enough to keep up with me. And that's okay because you're learning, and that's the beautiful thing about it. But yes, I am looking. I almost didn't want to talk about it because I knew someone was going to bring it up, but I think it's very important to talk about a stock, but also talk about the risk. People think that when I talk about it, I want everyone to jump on it with me. I don't need any of you to jump on it with me, right? I don't want any of you to jump on it with me. Like, that's how much I would prefer for you not to, because I know that it's incredibly risky and I don't want a beginner to put themselves in positions that they simply will not be able to manage nor tolerate. But yes, I see huge downside. I think that on the 4-hour time frame, if we break below its support that it has right around $15 per share, there's huge downside and we can retrace right back down to $12.50 per share. But again, stepping stones, right? We have to break that support and then there's a 20% drop. I would love to short the life out of SOUN if the opportunity presents itself. And it's definitely a stock that I'm watching, but again, day by day. I don't want to be greedy. I don't care to open up a short position right now because again, and I'm not going to be carrying it overnight. I want to make my money and bounce, right? You guys have seen me do it live. You guys have watched me do it multiple times. I focus very carefully on opening a position, closing it all within the same day, making my money and moving on. It's not personal. It's not that deep. It's just get your money and move forward, right? Let's go ahead and do one more. How does that look? INTU. What's going on, Grant? All right. Okay, this one's incredibly bearish. Oh, it was just bearish on the time frame I was looking at. No. Okay, I see wait, Grant, let me ask you this. What is your intention with this? Is this a buy? Are you trying to buy here and sell it back at 670, right? Because there's kind of like this horizontal pattern, right? Common support, common resistance. Or are you looking for this thing to break support and then begin to free fall? What do you guys think? What's your intention? Resell at 700. Oh, so you're trying to buy the dip. Okay. And again, that's not what I would do, right? But I see what you see. And this is what I love. People think that, oh my God, like we all have to agree on the same thing. No. If we all had to agree on the same thing, then the market would be very boring. There's so many different ideas and there's so many different ways on how to make money. I see what you see in the sense of, hey, there's a super consistent pattern here from lows to highs. I just want to buy into the dip and sell into the rip. My only concern here is if markets do begin to fall, as we're talking about, this is part of the NASDAQ. So if NASDAQ begins to fall, this will most likely drop with it. And again, if NASDAQ continues to fall, then this cheap deal just might get cheaper. So I'd just be very careful with that. What used to be a support here might not continue to be because we're about to enter this earnings season. Now, if earnings season is really good and the NASDAQ market continues to make new highs, then yes, you're putting yourself in a nice support range, nice recovery potential, and hopefully your trade goes according to plan. I just also want you to be aware of, hey, we're about to enter the earnings season. So these companies are reporting earnings, they can act as negative catalysts, and what was a previous support can easily be broken and continue to sell off. Just what I wanted to share with you, right? Just different perspective. So I wish you nothing but the best. I'm not here to tell you where to buy or where to sell. I just want you to understand maybe someone's different point of view, which of course I think is always valuable. But other than that, again, I didn't want to take too much of your guys' time today. I obviously wanted to make you guys aware that markets are falling. How can you make money when markets fall? You can short, but you can also go long on these inverse ETFs, just like we talked about it today. SQQQ, which is the NASDAQ ETF, that is not an investment vehicle, and then SPXS, which is the S&P 500 inverse ETF that goes up when the S&P 500 market goes down. And then, of course, if you tune on into my live trading session, which is the second link in the description down below, you will actively see me short MSTR most likely tomorrow if Bitcoin continues to sell off and breaks below 100,000. If I see by the time that the market opens that Bitcoin is not broken, right? This is the thing that I want to make sure that you're aware of. If I see that Bitcoin is this cheap at 101 and it has not broken below 100, I will not open up a short position on MSTR because it's too close to a support where it could begin to recover. So understand, again, criteria must be met for you to initiate the trade, or at least for me, because I can't speak for you. So I feel like we're setting up for a really nice short if we break that 100,000 support. If we don't break that support for Bitcoin, then MSTR probably won't continue to sell off. Again, it could possibly recover. There's two sides to every opportunity. So please make sure you don't put yourself in a position that you will eventually end up regretting. So again, very excited to follow up. I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's live trading session. I hope that you enjoyed this little live stream. Again, we do host them every single Sunday. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and I would love for you to be able to tune on in live next week, every Sunday. But again, I do go live every single morning at market open for about 30 minutes to an hour every single day. It's exclusive to my LPP team. They get to watch me trade live every single day. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. And if you ever want to tune on in, second link in the description down below. And I'll see you tomorrow at market open for that live session. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.